Okay, this video is slightly different. It's live within a classroom. Say hello, apprentices. Okay, so we're in front of our apprentices. This is pretty much Gaz one take. You might see the odd dissolve where maybe I've cut something out, somebody might have walked in the room. We're looking at mineral insulated copper covered cable or copper clad cable, depending how you want to say it. And we're going to look at the different colours, some of the tools, and we're going to look at 3 differing techniques in order to remove the outside copper and expose the conductors and the magnesium oxide insulator in this video. So as my learners are watching here, there's things in front of us that are exam question based. To start with, we can see there's 3 differing colours of PVC on the outside of the mineral insulated cable. So we've got red, orange and white. You could have it bare, and when we've stripped it back you can see what a bare mineral insulated cable looks like as well. So there must be a reason why we've got the colours, and they're not going to participate too much in this, so this is more of a directed lesson. We haven't done any pre-teach to this. So red mineral insulated covered cable would be for fire alarm system. Orange is the colour for electrical systems. So example being, if you saw a blue pipe, it would be water. If you saw a yellow pipe, it would be gas. If you saw the identifying colour for electrical circuits, it's orange. And occasionally you do see orange ducting in roads or motorways. The common colour now ducting is purple, and that's got the infrastructure for the internet within it, okay? So we've got orange, the general colour for electrical circuits, and white being used for emergency lighting. So as I'm looking at the people in my audience that are apprentices, they're sort of nodding to go, that makes a lot of sense now. So emergency lighting, general colour for electricity or electrical circuits, and red is for a fire alarm circuit. So there are 3 colours. We're going to be working with the red just because it's our freshest and newest cable. These are actually for visual demonstration pieces. We've got several hundred metres of the red covered mineral insulated cable. So that's what we're going to be working with today. And we're going to be stripping it back and exposing the conductors using probably the most famous of them all, the one people tend to love to use, the old joy stripper. So we're going to use a joy stripper. We're going to use a rotary stripper, okay, which is very similar. Again, a tool to strip it. And the one everybody hates, which is the key stripper, which uses the principles, and I'm getting to my age now because the people in the audience will go, I've never heard of that before. This is very similar to what used to be on an old tin of corned beef or Spam, in order that you wound it round the outside of the tin in order to expose the alleged meat within it. Okay, so that's the key stripper. I've got some funny faces being pulled there. That's the one people tend to shy away from, but actually it does all sizes of mineral insulated cable. It's not restricted like these 2 are to certain sizes and number of conductors. So that's our introduction. We'll come to some of the other tools maybe in later video presentations. This one's really about, can we strip back the outer copper in order to expose the conductors themselves. So we're going to take our red mineral insulated cable, and you can see here that it's actually been cut using a pair of side cutters. And if we're going to use, let's start off with a joy stripper. If we're going to use the joy stripper, we're probably going to need to change the way that end looks. So I'm going to need to cut that off with a hacksaw next. So off camera, I've managed to kick, volley, move the tripod, move everything on the table as we come back into shot. So what I've done, I've taken the end that was cut with a pair of side cutters or pliers and cut it with a hacksaw, making the end circular. So we've got a round end in which to work for. We're going to need that if we're using the joy stripper or using the rotary stripper. Wouldn't have mattered on the key stripper, but for those 2 stripping tools, we're going to need a round end. I'm going to need to take my knife, and I'm going to need to remove some of this PVC in order to show you the technique to remove the outer copper. So we're going to do so like that, nice and firm with our knife, all the way around, and hopefully we'll be able to just whip that off like so. And now we've revealed the copper on the outside. We could just have bare MI, so in no PVC sheathing, we could have bare. Be careful though, if you've got bare copper MI, you cannot install it on cable tray because there will be an electrolytic reaction between the copper and the actual tray itself, and it will eat through it, and you'll find a pool of magnesium oxide on the floor where it's eaten through the 2. So exam question would be, you'd need it to be PVC insulated where on cable tray. Or the tray itself be PVC insulated. They used to do a PVC insulated tray as well. So we're in that position there. If we were terminating the end, which this video is not about, it's about the stripping technique. If you were terminating the end, we'd need the shroud, etc. to go on, and parts of the gland. We're just going to work out how to get the outer copper off to expose the conductors in this video. It has 2 conductors in it. So we've got two conductors, so we're going to be effectively got a line and neutral. The outside part here will provide our protective conductor. It is a massive amount of copper, so it would make a fantastic CPC. The construction of the conductors in mineral insulated, they are always solid, so we have no stranded. So this is 2 core 1.5, and the actual cladding on the outside of the MI is light gauge. So when we look at gland bodies and pots, we will see things like 2 core, L, light gauge, and 1.5. We'll look at that in a later video about matching the gland body and pot, etc. to the actual cable itself. But it's important to remember the L stands for light gauge. That's the light gauge here of the outside cladding. 2 conductors, 1.5, solid. The white powder in there is magnesium oxide. It's hygroscopic, in other words, it draws moisture from the air into it. So when we start working on it, we should look to make off the end at the time we're working on it. So we wouldn't want to go away and leave it, when stripped back, exposed for an extended period of time, because it will draw moisture out the air. However, I'm probably going to get it wrong. However, it will only draw moisture out the environment for about 85 mil, so about 8.5 centimeters. It saturates out. It won't continue to pull it all the way through. So once you've cut an end off and you've made an end off, you will have removed the moisture that it draws in. So we're going to look at stripping this back. The technique is going to be using this, first of all, the actual joy stripper. Joy stripper is great, everyone loves them. Unfortunately, the blades often get blunt. The blades often, if you rotate it the wrong way, will snap and become difficult to strip. You won't be able to see it very easily, but on the outside barrel, in relationship to the holes that are here, is the number of conductors and the size of those conductors. So we've got things like 3L1. So that hole there would be for 3 core, 1 mil light gauge. We've got it already set on ours, which is 2L1.5. Okay, and we're ready to go. We're hoping the blade is in the right position when we start. If not, there'll be a dissolve through as Gaz comes back again and hopefully gets it right at the second attempt. So that's set up and ready to go. Important that we have a practice go first in order to get our blade in the right position. If not, we have to adjust it. I recommend you ask your college lecturer to help you adjust your blade and never rotate it back the wrong way when it gets jammed, because you will snap the blade itself. The trick is to make sure when you're stripping it back that you use a petroleum jelly. So in other words, that's probably in there a make of, let's go with Vaseline. So this is a small discreet lubricant that you can carry about yourself in your pocket, and the gentleman in front of me are now smiling vigorously. So that's just a little bit of Vaseline, so you've got a little personal lubrication. Might be that your lips are a little dry and want to moisten them up. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of this. Freddie, hold it together. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of that and we're going to run it down the side of it, just down one side. We don't need to lubricate the whole thing on the way down. We're happy just to lubricate one side, okay, as we go down. Remember, we're not putting any of the paraphernalia on for the gland. I'm just showing the techniques to strip it at the moment. We're then going to fold it in half. Depending on how far we're going to come down, we're just going with the technique at the minute. There is a bin underneath me and I am in a classroom, so there will be a lot of the white magnesium oxide coming out when I'm doing this. So just so I've got a better grip, and I've got my stripper there, and we're going to hopefully the appropriate hole, like so. And hopefully if the blade's set up correctly, it won't dig into the conductors, it will just score the outside copper cladding. So a little bit of pressure on it, like so, and you can already see that we're underway stripping back the outside cladding itself. Sometimes it's easier to use a pair of pliers. So if I hold it here with a pair of pliers rather than my hand, I've got something to work down towards, like so, and we go down the actual cable itself. It's important to try and keep the conductors as straight as you possibly can. Strip off any excess as it gets a little bit long, drop into the bin, and we go again. So we go down, holding on nice and firmly. What tends to happen is students tend to bend all the conductors and making the process that won't be shown in this video, but in a later video, a little bit more difficult. Drop those in there, and we go again. So there's nothing difficult about this. People who are watching this now are thinking, oh gosh, you made out this is going to be a disaster. You know, pretty difficult. It's not difficult at all if your kit's set up correctly. Snip it off again. It doesn't matter at the moment, this is just a video to show you 3 different techniques to get off the cladding. Okay, so we're going to come down. When we want to stop it, unless I'm terminating that into a matchbox, that's not going to be long enough. We're going to need to make sure it's longer than the accessories. We always do with the rules with the PVC cables, maybe a box or half a box longer than what we need it to be. But at the minute, we're going to just end it there. So I'm going to hold my pliers in the finishing position. Another clip there. Okay, and we go again. And then when I get to the point of which I want to stop it, just make sure your pliers are squared on and in position, and you roll it against those pliers. And you can see it breaks off. And then we just gently remove that. Like so. So there we go, we've stripped it back. You notice that my conductors are absolutely dead straight. What's the chances of everybody else's conductors being dead straight? Well, that's $1 million question, and we'll find out in a few moments. And we're ready to go. There's some excess magnesium oxide here, the insulator. We said it was hygroscopic, so we probably don't want to blow into it, because we could end up putting spittle in there, so you end up spitting in there and there's a bit of moisture. That moisture will track between either the 2 live conductors or the live conductors to the outside, which will be our CPC. So we generally like to just clear it off like so. So there's a little bit more tap in there in order to clear that off. And again, we would be putting the rest of the gland on, etc. But at the moment, it's just how do we get off the outside copper? Using, in this case, first of all, we used, where have I put it? I've put it down somewhere. Where have I put it, folks? Here it is. So we used, in first case, the joy stripper in order to strip it back. So we're going to just reset. We're going to get another piece of cable. The next piece of cable, again, we'll have to saw the end so it's nice and round. So I've done exactly the same as I did with the first one. So I've stripped off the outer PVC. I've used a hacksaw, so I've got a round end in order to attack it with, in this case, Rotary stripper. Again, they make different sizes of these. This is appropriate to the size 2L, let's get it right, 2-core, yeah, light gauge 1.5 cable that we've got in here. So this is appropriate to it. And again, going to fold it over. I'm going to use a bit of my personal lubricant, and I'm just going to run that down the side here. And again, we're not putting anything else on that we would have to do. We're just showing the technique in order to remove the outside cladding. Now this one, people go wrong with this regularly. So I'm going to put it in like so, and I'm going to offer the end so it's behind the actual blade itself. So the blade's in front of the actual conductor. So the blade's first, and behind it is the actual outer cladding of here. Now I've got it, let's check it, so it swings freely. Okay, like so, and hopefully it doesn't slip off. So it swings freely, so let's just do that again. So it swings freely. Just move my cable that way, yep. So we can, it swings freely backwards and forwards, but will not fall off. Okay, so we've put the lubrication on and do exactly the same as we did before. We're going to put some pressure like so, and then we go. And what we can see then is that we've created a pigtail. Okay, it's rolling down nicely. It helps to have that lubrication on it. We're rolling down nicely. We're going to untwizzle this little pigtail like so, and I'm just going to hook it under there like there, so it's under that little hook. And we're going to do exactly the same as we did before. We'll probably make it easier for ourselves. We hold it with a pair of pliers, and we go like so. You can find that this gets in the way. You might want to fold it over, and we go down again. And again, you might find that at this stage, you just want to snip it off. Remember to work over a bin if possible. When we're in the workshop, it's a lot easier to be over a bin. You've brought my dreaded side cutters. I hate these ones. They've got holes in them. Doesn't help you at all. And we go again. So I'm going to unravel that like so. Probably did a little bit too much there, guys. We got carried away. And go there. And then we go. And then we cut it off. Pliers down, go again. Again, notice how straight my conductors are. When we go back into the workshop and learners have a go, these will be all over the show. Makes the next stage really difficult. Exactly the same as before. When I get to the point of which I want to stop, hold my pliers in a fixed position, and then we go around a couple of times and it just instantly breaks off. Loosen that back, slide it forward, tap it over a bin, and you can see that we've got our 2 conductors exposed. We've got a nice round circular end where we stopped, and we would now be ready to put the rest of the gland on. That only needs one video. There's 3 videos on the stripping technique. That only needs one video to show you put the gland on. So again, not very difficult at all. The key to that is, and you saw it on the second take because obviously the first time it fell off, I wasn't concentrating, is to have it on so it doesn't fall off in that position but actually still rotates. People end up screwing this down super tight thinking it's a clamp. It isn't, it's just held there in position. So when we get back in the workshop, got to remember just to drop it onto there, make sure it spins freely but doesn't fall forward. So that's technique number 2, okay, using rotary stripper. Okay, we're going to go on now and use the dreaded key stripper, and it's a little bit more difficult because I've got to try and do it on camera with me not in the way, hence the workbench. So I'm going to try and keep myself out of the way and show you the key stripper next. Okay then, so this time I've just cut the end with these side cutters with 2 holes in, which I don't like, and I'm going to try and use these. These are a little bit trickier to get in and do the next technique, but they're what my students have brought me. They might have to use them in the workshop, so I can't complain too much. So didn't need it now cutting with a hacksaw. I could have done it with a hacksaw, but I didn't. I just used my side cutters or my pliers in order to cut the end off it so it's squashed down nicely. I'm going to clear my vise off, or my workbench off, and I'm going to attempt to show you the technique in order to use the key stripper next. So I've cut through just using a pair of pliers in order to get my cable end prepared. No hacksaw this time. I'm going to show you a slightly different method. I'm going to persevere with the side cutters I've been given by my learners. I don't like the fact it's got 2 holes in it, makes it quite difficult for this bit, but my learners might end up using those. However, depending on the length of which we're going to strip back, we're going to need to score round our exiting point, and we're going to use tools very familiar to plumbers in order to make that scored mark. The fear is that you score it too hard. We just need a scored mark at the point of exit in here. So if I just drop that, let's drop that into there and just put a little bit further down. And I'm just going to score round the actual copper. Now I've got to be careful, this is a brand new one to me, so tendency is to go a little bit too firm. I'm not twisting that as I'm going round. I'm just trying to score it as I go. So hopefully I've got a scored exiting point there. So just there I've scored round it. Okay, I'm going to prop it into here, and this is the tricky bit because I've got to try and keep myself out of the way but try and show you obviously what I'm doing. So it would be better to be in the workshop, but we can't be in the workshop at the moment. So I've locked that down. I'm going to take my side cutters next, and I'm going to try and nibble in to give myself a couple of flaps. So I'm going to peel it open so I can see the 2 flaps. I'm going to take one of those flaps and use it then for the next stage. So take my side cutters, which I hate, and I'm going to try and wind myself a little bit off here. So open it up like so. Trying to keep myself out the way of the camera if I can. So let's just go again. Dig in and pull. So trying to get a flap like that. Okay, so I've opened it up and I've got a flap here to work with. A guy I used to work with, who we used to call Irish, would only ever use his actual side cutters in order to strip some mineral insulated cable. We're going to try and attempt to use our key stripper. Maybe that's long enough, I don't know yet. I'm going to bring it a little straighter, so I'm going to make it a little bit straighter flap. I could use my pliers at this stage. Make it a little straighter, like so. And we're going to use this key stripper next. So but the slot can go in, fine, I've got it nice and flat, should go straight through there. I haven't used these for a year. So we're going to get it in there. Looks like someone squashed that up for me, so let's just open that out a fraction over the last year. That's better. So it drops straight into there. Okay, now ready to go. So this is the bit that has no blade that goes blunt in order to strip the cable. And now the people in the room are now going, oh, it looks incredibly easy. What am I doing? So the trick is, what am I doing? I'm not dragging it. So I'm not pulling that round, okay? As you can tell, I'm not pulling it. I'm twisting. So watch the key. I turn the key. So I'm turning the key. So I'm doing nothing else but turn the key. Now, if I bring it upright more, I make a thinner swathe. If I drop it down, I make a fatter swathe of metal coming off. So you want to compromise between the two. So we're going to go there. And we're just going to go. So round we go. So if we wanted to go a little bit lower, etc. Now imagine we got it all the way wrapped up our cable. So what would we have to do? You'd have to, and I'll show you what you do. You'd unwind it slightly. We wouldn't have to at this stage. You've got plenty of room to go again. You'd snip it off, like so. You try and lose this bit. Be careful because it can be sharp. I'm sure there's somebody out there telling me I should be wearing gloves. Okay, drop that into there. We go again. We straighten it out like so. We put it back into the key. We start wind it, and then we hopefully don't get it too far ahead of itself because we will have a problem. And we go again. So if we had to, that's how we would do that. The trick is, and this is where Gary's old eyes have got to come into, we've got to get down to here. So I'm twisting, not pulling, twisting, not pulling, twisting, not pulling. And we're rolling it round like so. And there we go. And the students are thinking, will he ever get to the end? Again, so round we go, round we go. So we're going to wind it back out a little bit, snip it off like so. See if I can pull it off in a oneer. Drop it into the bin, straighten it back out. This takes a little bit of practice in order to master it, but once you have mastered it, it's one of those techniques you think, well, I can get away with this. I've seen people use a screwdriver on site in order to strip mineral insulated cable, just cut a slot in it. So, down we go. Now, we've got to be careful when we get to the end part. It'll be difficult for you to see on camera, so listen to what I'm saying, really, is what I'm saying at this stage. So as I'm dropping down, I need to get to the point of which I break it off, and that's the bit where you're going to have the most amount of trouble. So once it starts breaking, you've got the smallest amount of swathe to go at then. So I'm pretty close now. You'll hear it maybe go tink. Slowly, slowly. It just went. I felt it, you probably didn't see it. It's gone. So now I know that I'm now on the very last bit to pull round. So nice and slowly, in order that we break it off super clean. It's the very, very, very final bit that's the problem. So try and get your fingers out of the way. You're just going now gently. I'm doing it a lot gentlier than I would. There we go. Broke off. Now as I look at it, that's pretty round. I'm pretty chuffed with that. Okay, it's broke off nice and clean there. And we're in the same position we were with all three now. So we've got three pieces that look like this. That we strip back the outer copper cladding, and we've exposed the two conductors. And then the next video, we can go on and look at how to put the pot actually onto here and seal it. We'll look at the matching the pot to the cable. We'll look at the compound, identifying conductors, etc. But that shows you three different techniques in order to get the cladding off and expose the conductors. Key stripper we looked at last. We looked at the joist stripper first, and we looked at the rotary stripper in the middle. So we've had all three of these in order to expose our conductors. So for the people behind the camera and everybody watching at home, I hope this video has been some help.